everyone. Welcome back to God's Whispers, a place where we take the time to reflect on God's Word and hopefully to apply it to our everyday lives. Today I'm going to be speaking about the Gospel according to Matthew, chapter 14, verses 1 through 12. The passage talks about the beheading of John the Baptist. But this story is not about baptism, but more about the consequences of the truth. It states, "At the time Herod the Tetrarch heard the reports about Jesus, and he said to his attendants, 'This is John the Baptist. He has risen from the dead. That is why miraculous powers are at work in him.' Now Herod had arrested John and bound him and put him in prison because of Herodias, his brother Philip's wife. For John had been saying to him, 'It is not lawful for you to have her.' Herod wanted to kill John, but he was afraid of the people because they considered John a prophet. On Herod's birthday, the daughter of Herodias danced for the guests and pleased Herod so much that he promised with an oath to give her whatever she asked. Prompted by her mother, she said, 'Give me here on a platter the head of John the Baptist.' The king was distressed, but because of his oaths and his dinner guests, he ordered that her request be granted, and he had John beheaded in the prison. His head was brought in on a platter and given to the girl, who carried it to her mother. John's disciples came and took his body and buried it. Then they went and told Jesus." So that's a pretty intense story and just some background information that I did while I was researching this gospel passage. Herod Antipas, the one who is referred to as Herod in the passage, was the son as Herod the Great, the one who tried to kill baby Jesus. Antipas had ruled Galilee under Roman authority. The word tetrarch is like the governor of the Roman Empire. John had publicly condemned Herod for marrying Herodias, who was both his niece and the former wife of his brother Philip. This relationship violated Jewish law, which is spoken of in Leviticus chapter 18. John's message wasn't political, it was moral, but it created political consequences because Herod had arrested John, likely to silence his public embarrassment, but he also feared him because he recognized something holy in him. So while he's throwing this lavish birthday party, probably filled with people who were drunk and political allies, Herodias' daughter performs this dance and says, "Ask me for anything, I will." He responds to the dance, "Ask me for anything, even up half of my kingdom." And so, manipulated by her mother, the daughter asks for his head. So to save face, he kills the one man who had told him the truth. So Herod knew that he knew what was right, but he cared more about appearances. Herodias was fueled by bitterness and vengeance, and the crowd was silent while a righteous man was killed. So John the Baptist is a foreshadowing of Jesus. He was misunderstood by leaders. He was condemned unjustly. He was killed not because of weakness, because of the strength in the truth. So this is really all about integrity. Sometimes courage, you're being called out to speak the truth, but the fear of others is keeping you silent. So something to really reflect on. Are you more afraid of disappointing people than of disappointing God? Sometimes courage looks like using your voice. Other time it looks like walking away from something that you know is wrong. John's death isn't just a tragedy, it's a testimony of the cost of living a life aligned with truthfulness. So some journal prompts would be, where in my life am I staying silent to keep the peace, even if it costs my peace with God? And have I ever been punished or rejected for standing in truth? And how did I respond? And what does courage look like in this season in my life? Where do I need to speak, or where do I need to walk away? I hope this message resonated with you, and if you feel like a friend could use some encouragement, please feel free to share it along. And don't forget to subscribe to God's Whispers.